Using this crude system, the owner would have known roughly how many hours of sunlight they had left. There's still one question, though. If the Romans had pocket sundials, why have we never found another one? The people who live on the mainland of Sweden will warn you not to visit the island of Bla Jungfrun. They'll tell you that it's cursed, and that it used to be home to witches. Perhaps they have a point. A brave team of archaeologists who've ignored the warnings and investigated the island's caves have found evidence of strange rituals dating back 9,000 years, and also an ancient labyrinth built for unclear purposes. The caves are of particular interest. There's a stone altar inside one of them, and what appears to be a theater stage in another. Both are curious features for the Mesolithic Stone Age. The stage, hammerstones have been discovered. Stones.
My name is Kirk Molly. I am the co-founder of Black Box Social Media, and we've spent a lot of money in Facebook ads over the last 10 years. Lots of money. We have trainings and group trainings, and I have clients that are celebrities and who's who, and pretty much that's all I have to know. I am surrounded by 800 amazing people in New Jersey that are changing lives, and this is what I love to do. Over the last 2 years, we've helped thousands of people. I don't spend my time with people, I invest my time with people. I'm not spending my time with you, I'm investing my time with you, because what I'm looking for is...
This is Morocco. That's our weird American words.
I don't know anybody else quite
proclaim your nationality.
Amazingly creative as Kurt Molly is.
Then you better honor them and their father.
If it wasn't for Kurt Molly believing me in the beginning of my experience, I would not be able to support the people that I do across the world.
Kurt has absolutely changed my life.
So I've spent a long time trying to figure out something bad to say about Kurt Molly, and that's been hard to do.
It's like this.
Alright, I got stuck on Instagram for a second. Good morning, man. Still working on this commission. I've been working on the water for about a week or so, but I think I'm a... I think I'm gonna put some skin colors on the palette this morning and try to work on the portrait portion a little bit, because I've gotten enough details in the water where it's I'm gonna start, well, this section right here I still need some larger brushes, but here and a lot here I can move into like smaller brushes now. So I'm I think I'm just take a break from the water for a minute. It's starting to, like, I'm losing focus with all the blues and shit, so I'm just pull off of that, work on the skin tones with the browns and reds, and work on this for a week or so, and then come back to the water and wrap it up in the end. So, but it's looking pretty nice, you know. It's looking pretty wet, if I do say so myself. Feel like I can just splish splash in the waters, you know. But it's fucking, the water already has like 3 layers of paint on it. At least 3 layers of paint. I go over a section and go over it again and do this section and go over this section and go over this section, and it's like I still need another 1 or 2 layers probably over the entire surface of the water to get it really, to get that really sheen, that wet sheen look to it. So still got a lot to go. But it's looking good. I'm liking it so far. It's looking really good. Honestly, it may seem like more hours than I actually put in it. I think I probably got about 30 hours into it so far. Like the rocks, no, probably about 40 hours into it. The sky, honestly, was probably the quickest part for me to work my way through. The rocks took a little bit of time because I used a knife to get that textured effect. And the lighting looks really good on it. And I did actually do a little brush work on the rocks as well. But this water, probably got about 20 hours in the water alone, yo. 20, 25 hours just working on this water. I got 25 hours in the water, 10 hours on the rocks, and 10 hours on the sky. Right around about 40 hours, 45 hours, something like that. I thought it was gonna take longer, but I don't know, I'm still looking at another 20 hours maybe. Another 20, 25 hours before I'm done with this shit. Move this bottle out the way so I can see the comments. Day one, baby. I'm pre-order. Soon as they announce pre-orders, I'm pre-ordering my shit. I'm paying that shit off full. So on day one, release day, just let me pick my shit up. I'm gonna get my shit day one. And I plan on getting like the full bundle. I want an extra controller, I want the camera, I want the charging dock, I want the new headphones that come with it. I want all that shit, yo. Everything that comes with it. Everything. I have it paid off by the time it come out. Just let me know when the pre-order is. I'm on it. As soon as they drop that pre-order, I'll probably just put $200 on that shit. And then put $200 down every time I get paid, yo. I had that shit paid off. Grab it up all that. Whatever game come out, that Miles Morales, hopefully by then, Cyberpunk 2077 will already be out, and they'll have a remastered edition for the PS5. And what other, well, honestly, I ain't see a lot of launch titles that I might fuck with. That Ratchet and Clank, a Rip in Time or some shit like that. That shit look pretty fun. But I got 2 PS4 Pros, but I'm gonna just swap out one of them. Like the PS up here is just for streaming, so I think I'll keep this hardware and just continue to use it for my streaming purposes. And then in the living room, I'll just upgrade that PS4 to the PS5. Oh, they saying limited? I might have to just do my shit like that then too. Just drop a stack. Cause if the console gonna be fucking about $500, then an extra controller, that's another $60. Let's say $100. Then the game, that's another $100. Then the headset, that's another $100. An extra controller, that's another $100. So you're gonna spend about $500 above the price of the console itself. So you're looking right at a stack, maybe $1,100 with taxes and everything. He said if they're having a limited order, yeah, I might just go ahead and do the same thing. Just drop the whole fucking deal. Let me drop all my shit now so I can guarantee my shit. But yeah, I'm trying to have that shit day one. Take a personal day off. You know what I'm saying? I can't even. I'm not coming to work today. I got some shit. I got some software I need to update. There's like that's how much of a gamer I am. Though I'll take days off work for certain shit, yo. When Skyrim came out, I took a day off work for that shit, yo. When Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, I took a day off for that shit. When the PS5 come out, I'm not going to work that day. I got something I need to do. Yo, I cannot wait, yo. They saying November. 2 more months, yo. November. Let me push this camera. The cord is on table. Spin around. Don't get busy, guys. Don't get busy. Bruh, I'm talking about thousands of brushstrokes here. Thousands and thousands of brushstrokes I've been doing. But it's coming along nicely. Now, the rough portion right here, that's the last really rough part from the underpainting. So we're going to start adding a second layer to the portrait right here. And getting some skin tones to look right. Getting some details in the hair and the face. And let's work on that for a little while. I'm loving these rocks though, yo. That shit look so nice. Like that sunlight is really beaming on them. That's why I use that knife, yo. That knife get that texture and lifts it up, lifts the paint up so it can catch the light better. But this is, once again, this is a big piece. So the client is gonna come pick it up instead of having it shipped to him. This is big ass painting, yo. I just can't wait till it's done though. So we're gonna drop the easel. Well, let's clean off this palette first. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like maybe mid-November, anywhere from the 13th to like the 25th, like somewhere right there in the middle, close to the end of the month, they're gonna drop that shit, yo. And like you say, put those pre-orders out for the holidays, cause everybody gonna try to grab them shits up for Christmas presents. No, no. Once again, bro, I don't do pop art. I don't hop on the popular shit. Even when Chadwick was alive and everybody's promoting the Black Panther and it was such a all black cast and black director and it was so hyped up that even that movie alone there was like thousands of artists drawing Black Panther and all the different characters and all that shit. Like I don't hop on that bandwagon shit, yo. I just don't do it. And a lot of that shit be cool, and I be wanting like to do that shit too. Like, oh, Black Panther, let me do a drawing of it. But like everybody else does it. It's nothing original about it. I can't do something that everybody else does. Like I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. It's just something with that shit. And a lot of that art looks dope as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And people make like collages and have different scenes and how they add the characters and all that shit, man. A lot of that shit be dope as fuck, but have at it. You know what I'm saying? I'll just continue to try to come up with original stuff myself. And for a lot of artists, that's like filler work, like when you can't come up with ideas, when you don't have, something original to do, you're constantly trying to hop on some pop art and paint whatever's popular and this character and this athlete and all that shit. And you don't really have to be like as creative because the material is already there for you. The concepts and ideas are the individuals and the persona of an individual is already there. So all you have to do is put that and translate it into whatever medium you're using. And once again, like, that art really doesn't make it anywhere. It's fun and it's cool to look at, but if you go to like a really prestigious museum or gallery, are you gonna see like drawings of Black Panther hanging in a museum? It's not that shit. Art like that doesn't really make it into like the big art leagues unless you're somebody like Andy Warhol, where you can take pop art like a Campbell soup can and do it in such a unique way that it does catch people's attention. But nowadays, that was back before the internet and all of this other shit. Now with the internet and social media, like the idea is spread around so fast that everybody uses it, and it's like it just waters it down so much and takes away a lot of the fucking meaning from it. And then like even yo Wayne, what up, yo? Watching from the truck. But even I saw this one picture of a little black boy, and he had all his Avengers action figures arranged in a circle, and then he had his Black Panther figure laid down in the middle of the circle as if he was dead, and then the little boy is outside the circle of toys, and he's crossed his arms like this, and it's like, oh, that's so cute. But then you scroll through social media, and everybody has their kid doing the same thing. Like it was, the first one was like, oh, that is awesome. And then it's like, oh, this is a trend now. And every little kid, and this is not the children's idea, it's the parents saying, oh, look, we're going to set this picture up. It's so fake. Like, I don't know. That's just me though. Damn, I don't want to waste all this. There's a lot of blue right there, and it's nice and fresh, and I don't want to waste that. Or could I just put brown? I don't know. I'd have a very limited space to work on, but I might just not clean the palette off. I'll clean some of it off. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is too, I like the artists who have done like Black Panther artwork or portraits of Chadwick, you know, years ago before he passed. But now since he's dead, once again, like people are gonna like hop on this bandwagon of a dead celebrity. Let's immortalize his image. Like if you really honored that dude and you really like what he was doing, you would have did that like before, like with Kobe Bryant, Prince, Michael Jackson, whoever dies, it's like, oh, I gotta paint a picture of this guy now. It's like, really? Is he dead? So you never drew a picture or painted a portrait of this guy, but then he died, and now you have to paint a picture of him. It's like, I don't understand that part. Oh no. What I meant to do was, what's good though? Yo, that shooting. Yeah, me and one of my good friends, like a really good friend of mine. But he's a white guy. You know, he's a Republican Trump supporter. And me and him were like, I posted some shit on Facebook and he made a comment and I made a comment and we're not agreeing about this young white kid who shot the protesters and killed 2 of them. And it was all white people at a Black Lives Matter rally. The irony. We'll get back to that part. But anyway, so my homie was like, "Oh, it was self-defense." Was it really? Was it really self-defense though? Matter of fact, I had 2 homies saying the same thing, and it's like they said, "Oh, well, they were chasing him, and somebody had a gun who was chasing him, and they fired a shot, and he shot back." Okay, I get that part. All right, you're being chased, you know, and somebody fires a shot in the air, and so you turn around and like, what the fuck? And then some guy tries to jump you, and you shoot him in the fucking head. My only question was, what did this kid do that made people chase him initially? The very first, what happened to start this whole altercation? First of all, you're a minor and you're carrying a illegal weapon across the state line to a city that you don't even live in. And whatever you're over here doing or think you're doing, he had to have said something or did something to an individual that made them chase him to start with. And now you find yourself in a situation where motherfuckers are about to get you, and then you want to kill these people now. And the whole thing too is like, I think he's one of these motherfuckers, these to kill. And with the shit that's going on in this country, and still I keep forgetting the name of this city that this shit happened in, and what it is, Wisconsin, whatever the name of this little nut ass fucking town is. Nobody heard of this shit, but all of a sudden it's famous now because, you know, the dude got shot and then riots, and there are these racist, militant motherfuckers who think that they would be some sort of vigilante if and when a situation like this were to spark close enough to where they live. Now, they said this kid had in his mom 20 miles or something, 20 miles away. I work roughly 27 miles from where I live. I commute that every day. That's not very far. And so these individuals, ever since this national uproar has resurfaced once again, people are thinking to themselves, if this shit ever happens in my city or anywhere around here, I'm not gonna allow that. I'll pull out my guns and kill these motherfuckers. And you know what? It just so happens that an event like that happened close enough to where this little kid lives and his crazy ass family, and they felt like, oh, we should go over there. We should drive, you know, this 20 miles to go to where this is happening at because it's close enough to us. And we've been waiting for this. And I am going to kill a motherfucker if they try something, because we're going to go protect some businesses in a city, some businesses that we don't own in a city that we don't live in. But then all of that, the precursor to him killing 2 people and seriously injuring another person, and people still want to say it's self-defense. It's self-defense. Even the police chief said, oh, if people weren't out after curfew, none of this would have happened. I get that part too. I see what you're saying, police chief. But at the same time, you're not gonna make this little kid out to be some fucking Batman type vigilante who is here to fucking clean up graffiti and offer medical aid. This motherfucker was a psycho who has been dreaming of killing a motherfucker ever since he realized what killing a motherfucker was. He's been waiting for this moment, and he took advantage of that shit, and whatever the fuck he did or said to whoever he did or said it to, which caused these people to chase him, well, that shit will never come out, yo. They'll never give the real reason. And then now he has like tons of motherfuckers on GoFundMe trying to get money up for his legal team and all this shit, yo. It's like some Dylan Roof type shit all over again, yo. But then the fact that it's all white people. That's the crazy part. It's like a white kid shot and killed 2 other white people at a Black Lives Matter riot, rally, protest. I don't know what the fuck that shit was, but like, I mean, how is this shit so co-opted, and then the media is going to continue to spin Black Lives Matter as some violent, far left hate group, and it's mostly white people doing all the damage, destruction, burning, looting, robbing, violence, killing, shooting. Ain't that an oxymoron? I just think this shit is so fucking weird. And that's why I keep having these conversations with white people, and they're like, oh, I don't like the Black Lives Matter, this and that. I feel you. I get it, bro. I understand that shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the organization, too. I don't support this organization. I don't want any affiliation. I understand the slogan. I understand the sentiment behind it. Because once again, yo, and I've said this 100 times, Marcus Garvey with the UNIA was saying Black Lives Matter. W.E.B. Du Bois was saying Black Lives Matter. Motherfucking James Baldwin was saying Black Lives Matter. Martin Luther King was saying Black Lives Matter. Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, everybody for fucking generations have been saying it in a different way. I am a man by any means necessary. Power to the people. All these slogans are basically this Black Lives Matter, and we've been saying this shit for generations. So yeah, I understand completely the sentiment behind Black Lives Matter. But this whole movement, this organization, the merchandise and the fucking politicalization of this shit and turning this shit into like a money thing, it's all bullshit. Have you seen a Black Lives Matter scholarship fund? Where's this money being funneled to? Where is the money going? Yo, art in the motherfucking dark. Jizz Lane. Yo. We don't need no Martin Luther King, bro. You know what I'm saying? And even in the end, Martin Luther King realized like a lot of his programs weren't the best routes. And that's why he got assassinated, because he was going to create a new program of reparations. He was going to start fighting for reparations. He's seen all that marching and all that voting, and that shit ain't work. It ain't working, bro. You know what I'm saying? But that's what Malcolm X and them was preaching from the start, like economic sustainability. That's the only goal. That's the only goal is economic sustainability, a platform where we can build generational wealth. Everybody has it except the black community. Everybody has been given their fair share in some respect or other, and it's all been fucked up for everybody because the dominant elite group just wants to fuck everybody over, you know. So the Indians, they got their little reservations and some reparations, but they've been fucked over just as hard as anybody else. The Jews, they've gotten their reparations. The Japanese who were in the internment camps in World War II, they've gotten their reparations, you know, in some way, shape, or form, mostly monetary. And the Africans who've been in this country for hundreds of years are still at the bottom economically because we've never gotten our fair share, we've never gotten our fair dues, and now it's been so long that the idea of reparations just seems so complicated and complex that we'll never get that shit, and we will forever be cast out of owning any real substantial part of the economic playground in America because it's all bought up now. You know, all the best land, all the best waterways, everything is already bought up and privatized and owned. And motherfuckers have had a fucking 300-year head start on this shit. So Civil War, Immortal Technique, Civil War. I don't think there's gonna be a Civil War. I haven't heard Immortal Technique. He got a new track, but I say we're just living in a weird fucking time, yo. In a really weird time, and it's only because we are able to see what's happening more and more. You know, we're able to actually see this shit, and you know, white America just does not want to confront their history. They do not want to just make amends with this shit and say, hey, we have a fucked up culture. You know, there's a lot of issues within America that are systemic in nature, and to change that is to change the core of America, and they don't want to do that. You know, they don't want to do that, and I don't think the core principles of America would never really fucking change. And so once again, you just got to build your own shit, man. You got to just try as hard as you can to build your own shit, have your own shit, create your own shit, and formulate a common unity. You need a common unity, and if we can build these communities, then we won't have shit to worry about. And all the police brutality and the poor education, the family structures, all that shit will go away if we have a common unity. So, oh, this is an old song too.
Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not right now. I just want to do God's will.
And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
You was told to check me out, bro. That's what's up. You know why? Motherfucking name is getting around. I got some good news, some extra, some super fantastic, super de-duper amazing, tremendous, stupendous news to share with you guys shortly. Some really, 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 really good news.
So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. You know what? Fuck them. Immortal technique. Not like soul, nigga. Killer Mike. Fuck Terminator. Brother Ali. Fuck Rambo. No, yeah. The ghetto is like a prison with invisible bars. No matter where you at, it always follows you where you are. And it's hard out there for a pimp to get out of. But it's harder for the hooker that he beat the shit out of. I got niggas underground in the Confederate States, ironically running from slavery that doesn't create. So I never hate on the South. I respect their vision. I just hate on niggas that promote Samboism and white execs that love to see us in that position. They've left the stereotypes of America's vision. They want us dancing, cooning and hollering. Only respect us for playing sports and modeling. More than racism, it's stay in your racism. All people are trapped in practical black facism. So fuck a civil war between the North and the South. It's between field niggas and slaves that are stuck in the house. Civil war for the soul of a nation. This is a struggle to save civilization. Demonstrations overthrowing the occupation. The annihilation of mental colonization. Civil war for the soul of a nation. We fight for the future of our civilization. Destroy the corrupt government organizations. Trying to survive cultural assassination. Rich niggas, blood niggas, essays, Asians. Why the fuck we born with each other's population? The devil wanna dead all our population. People in folk nation. Why the separation? Why we got Jamaicans hating on Haitians? When the British and French break both nations. Mexicans and blacks kill each other straight hating. While the government profits from prison population. If you on the bottom, be you Anglo or Asian. You gotta recognize the realness of what I'm saying. You gotta recognize another G ain't the enemy. When the police ride and kill us frequently, we gotta make you see where the truth be. If you achieve it, grow and develop GD. 50 years of gangs and our people still war. If we really run the streets, we should really end war. Civil war for the soul of a nation.
That shit hot, yo. Since early 2000s, yo, Immortal be spitting that shit though. He always came hard with that shit. You know what I'm saying? The third world, the underground. He don't get his just dues either, man. Immortal don't get props like he should, man. So oh yeah, the good news. So this year I actually entered into a statewide art contest, which is held at the State Museum in the state's capital. So it's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, at the State Museum of Pennsylvania. And each year they have a contest called Art of the State, where if you are a resident of Pennsylvania, you can submit art to this contest at the state capitol's museum. And so I submitted art this year. They said they had over 2,000 submissions, and they narrowed it down to 109 people who actually made the cut to be a part of the show. I was a part of the 109. So that already let me know, kind of where I stand as an artist in the state of Pennsylvania. So at least I was able to make it into the museum, which was a major goal of mine, is to actually have art in a museum. I've been in dozens of galleries in other smaller venues and things like that, but I've never been in a museum, like a real museum. And on top of that, it's not just like our local museum. This is the State Museum of Pennsylvania. So I made it into the State Museum. And then last week they put out the press release for, for the general public. Just their regular annual press release about the show. And in the press release, it told about the finalists and the categories and all of this. But they actually used a picture of my painting in the press release itself. So normally a press release for a party or a new business or anything, you want to show like some kind of images to get people excited about it. So the press release did have 5 or 6 images of different art that made it into the show, and mine was one of the pictures like on the press release itself. It was right in the middle too, like highlighted right in the middle. It was real nice. So I was excited about that. And then I got a call early last week from the museum saying that this year they are going to purchase my painting to be in the permanent collection of the museum, yo. And so they said that's a prize in itself. Each year with this show, the museum wants to keep, one of the pieces that was in the show. And how I look at it, if you're having a show and you want one piece from the show to stay in your collection, then it has to be the best piece from the show, right? Am I thinking? Is my thinking not logical? Would you not want the best piece to be in the permanent collection at the museum? Or would you just like, oh, that's the very best piece in the show, but we're going to put this piece in our collection instead? Nobody wouldn't do that. You would only put what you feel is the very best piece, right? So by saying that, they just told me without saying, in so many words that this year, in the year 2020, Travis Prince is the best artist in the entire state of Pennsylvania. I'm the best artist in PA right now. That's all I got to say. That's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? A nut's gonna hang real low. My balls is on the ground. Nuts hanging low. The best artist in PA for 2020. You know what I'm saying? I got a piece of art that is a part of a permanent museum collection, yo. I'm still like, I don't know, yo. Elated. I gotta see this shit in person now. Like, I want to go to the museum and just see that shit in the museum. Like, yeah, I did that. And then they purchased it for what I wanted for too. Like, woo, boy, I got that check coming. The check is in the mail, is what they told me. It's basically how they sell it. Yeah. These shits, they expensive though, man. You know what I'm saying? My artwork's so expensive. You got to be a museum to buy this shit, bro. I tell people like, man, how much your art cost? Like, look, I can't afford this shit. I can't afford my own art, bro. This shit costs too much. I can't go spend money like that on this shit. Lou, what it do? Man, my shit too expensive. Oh, bruh. And I got a new car. It's an old car, but it's new to me. It's an old car, but that shit new to me. So I had a fucking I had a 1998 Chevy Monte Carlo. 1998, yo, that shit only had 144,000 miles on it, though. That shit ain't even had 150,000 miles yet. Engine strong. A good ass car, yo. You know what I'm saying? I had that shit for like 6 years. Almost 7 years. I had that car for a long time, yo. I ain't hardly paid shit for it. Ain't really had to do no work to it. It's just a good little old car, yo. But I traded that shit in towards a now I got a 2007 Lexus ES 350 F Sport. Bruh. Man, this car is so fucking nice, yo. Dude. Yo, the fucking F Sport Lexus. Oh my god, bro. Yo, the fucking, just the speed on this shit, yo. When I be on the highway, doing like a buck, yo. It just floating in that bitch, yo. Then it got the nice ass, it's like pearl white, and got the tan, like the dark tan leather interior. That shit is nice as shit, yo. Lexus looking ass. Yo, the no, it's the ES 350 F Sport, yo. The F Sport, that shit nice as shit, yo. But now I ain't got my old ass Monte Carlo no more. I miss my little car, yo. But now I still got my old ass SUV. It's the Equinox. But probably next year, I'm on this Lexus shit now, yo. Next year I'm gonna get the Lexus. I think it's the LX, their little SUV, yo. I get the LX 350 next year, and then just ride the two Lexuses out. What do I think about Black Lives Matter? It's once again, we just had this conversation earlier in the stream. I think the sentiments are right on point because Black lives do matter. I think the movement is bullshit. Once again, I don't know where all these funds and donations go to. It more than likely goes to some white Democratic politicians. These grassroots organizations are always co-opted and bought out by these elitist groups who use it to cause chaos like they're doing now. Once again, in this last incident with this kid, Rotten, whatever his name is, who shot who killed 2 people and shot a 3rd person, they're all white people. You know what I'm saying? Like, this movement is so fucking fake now that it don't even make no sense anymore. When you saw them, what news station they were burning down a couple months ago, it was like white people burning down a news station, and you see all this shit, it's just co-opted. Like, I don't know, once a black movement is really started from the grassroots up, they can never like maintain it by themselves. And that's why niggas just need to be quiet sometimes. You got an idea, you're gonna do some shit, do it. Don't go yelling about it and screaming about it and marching over the shit. Just do the shit. Because once you get too much hype behind it, then everybody wants to be a part of it. I'm not with the Nation of Islam, and I have, you know, my opinions on that. But if you look at the old documentary, The Hate That Hate Created, when Malcolm X stepped on the scene, the Nation of Islam was well established. They had chapters in cities all across America, very well established, and nobody knew about that shit. The white establishment had no idea the numbers that these people were moving in. The organization that they had acquired had no idea, because they didn't promote that shit and shout that shit to everybody like, look what we're doing. We're organizing over here. Hey, check it out. And they're still that way. There's no Nation of Islam flyers and posters and advertisements and none of that shit. And they shit solid and tight. It's airtight. And if more people can use that model on a different platform or take a different route with it, it'll work better. But as soon as you start something grassroots and you want to get it all public, and man, that shit is always taking over, yo. That shit don't never work. It never has worked. It never will work. Not for real change, because people always want to grab onto the coattails and see, I'm not racist because I'm a part of this, and see, I'm not racist because, and it's like, we don't need that shit, yo. If you're gonna do something, do that shit. Move in silence, motherfucker. Move in silence. It's hard to understand how All Lives Matter is perceived in opposition to Black Lives Matter. It's because All Lives Matter wasn't a slogan until Black Lives Matter was a slogan. That's the only way I can see that shit. Nobody wasn't shouting that shit before. That's the only thing. You gotta think about it. Nobody wasn't saying all lives matter until, a group of people start saying Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and then somebody said, well, not exactly. You're saying it wrong. What you're saying is not exactly right. It's kind of wrong. What you should be saying is all lives matter. Well, no. We're gonna say what we want to say, and we're gonna say it the way we want to say it, because the statement means what we want it to mean. And now that we're saying this, now you want to say something else. Don't try to come up with anything different because we're saying something now. If all lives matter, motherfucker should have been shouting this shit 40 years ago. All lives matter. Marching with Dr. King or marching with whoever. It should have been a slogan, but it wasn't. It was never a thing. So in a way it is, a counteraction to that. But then also, if all lives matter, then there is nothing wrong with saying Black Lives Matter, because black people are alive. We have life. So yeah, both of them are right. I mean, it's saying both things are absolutely correct. But the second one is saying that, it's more correct than your way of saying it. See, you guys always say everything wrong. You do everything wrong. We have to teach you all the time. We always got to tell you what to say and how to do it. And you don't. You don't have to tell us what to say. You don't have to say that we're saying it wrong or anything like that. Once again, dude, I'm an artist, not an athlete. I could give a rat's ass about sports. Honestly, bro, listen, I have never watched an entire sporting event in my life. I'm 39 years old. I have never sat down and watched an entire football game. an entire basketball game, like, oh, the game is coming on, and from the beginning to the very end of the game, and watch it. I've never done that. I've never watched an entire soccer game or a tennis match. That's not my shit. I could give a fuck about sports. I think most sports are fucking dumb and stupid. Sports are stupid. It's a game. You know? And so, and I've been saying for years with the numbers in sports, if you want to build an economic platform for generational wealth, all these black athletes would take their money and start their own league and start Negro leagues again or whatever. I don't fucking know. But you always want to say this and that, and Kaepernick getting kicked out of the NFL for kneeling and all this other shit. Well, start your own fucking shit. Start your own shit. Half the fucking team, more than half the team is black. Ain't y'all, all y'all got $1 million fucking contracts? Put all y'all millions together, and then y'all can have $1 billion. Y'all still ain't gonna have as much as the real franchise owners. That's who get all the money. The motherfuckers who own the stadiums. The motherfuckers who own the teams. That's where the money is at. I don't give a fuck how much you pay one player. Oh, he has a $10 million contract for 5 years. That ain't shit. That's chump change to the motherfucker who own the stadium. That ain't nothing. So you really want to make a change in sports? Y'all get y'all little chump change that they give y'all, your $10 million here, your little $15 million contract, your $8 million contract, and y'all put all that shit together, start your own shit. Start your own basketball league, your own football league. That's how I feel about sports. I don't give a fuck y'all play sports or not. This shit is dumb to me. All sports are the same. You have a ball, and you try to move it from one end to another end as fast as you can. There's different rules in between on how to move the ball or which players can move the ball. But it's all sports are the same. A tennis ball, a soccer ball, a football, a basketball, a golf ball, a hockey puck. All that shit, all the same. It's all the same shit. I don't get it, man. Shit is for kids. Games are for kids. You grow up and you do other shit. These motherfuckers took games and made them into some shit that motherfuckers think, you know, it's a career now. It's weird as shit. I just don't get it. I never really understood sports. I have never played a sport in my life. I tried out for football in 9th grade and got to the first day of practice, and we was running and doing some 40-yard sprints, and I'm winded, I'm sweating, I'm like, I don't know about this shit, coach. And then the next day at football practice, we had like a little scrimmage, and we were running some patterns against the older kids, and the one dude rushed me and hit me to the ground, and I got up and I was like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. Everybody gonna try to hit me that hard? No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna go draw some stuff. I was working on this picture of Wolverine earlier. Think I'm gonna go finish that up. Y'all can have this helmet. Hey, these pads. Y'all got that? I'm out. I don't see color though. That is so racist. That's so. I don't see color is so racist, bro. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. Please don't say that. Don't say that. That's racist. I don't see color as a racist term. What the fuck does what fix? Your boy is in a museum collection. What? This nigga's an amp, yo. Fuck. I gotta get a new chair. So I painted that painting 2 years ago, and I sold it twice in 1 year. So somebody asked if they could buy it, the original painting, and I said, yeah, you can buy it, you know, for this price. He was like, oh, that's kind of expensive. I was like, yeah, it's kind of expensive, but that's the price. you can't work with me on the price. That is working with you on the price, because what I really want for it is twice as much as I'm willing to sell it for right now, because I'm a nobody. Nobody don't really know my art like that yet, so I got to keep my prices kind of reasonable. But now that I'm in a museum collection, fuck everybody, bitch. Fuck everybody. Pay me now. I want $12,000 for my shit now. 12 grand. Minimum. 12 grand minimum. But anyway, dude couldn't afford the price. So he was like, can you paint it smaller? Can you do the whole painting again, smaller? And I'll buy that. I'm like, hell yeah, I can do that. So I painted the whole painting again. Sold that shit. And then sold the original big version. Yo, this boy's doing lovely right now. Boozy, what a doozy. Boy doing lovely right now. Working on this commission. Boy, I can't wait to get this one finished. More cheddar in the bank. Yo, this has been a good year for your boy. You know what I'm saying? This has been an excellent year for your boy. Got that fucking painting. Then I got the new wheel. Now, only thing I'm gonna do to this car, yo, is I say it's an older car. It's a 2007, but it has push start. It has a push start ignition on that shit, yo. That shit is. I was like, Lexus had push starts in 2007. Like, wow. But anyway, it just got like the old ass CD player with the knobs and all that shit, yo. I'm gonna snatch that fucking shit out and put like the new like touchscreen shit up in there and ride out with that bitch, because it got good rims on that shit. It got it's already tinted. Got nice tint on the windows. I'm gonna just put like the touchscreen radio in there, so I can have the GPS, navigation, the backup cam, and that's a wrap. I'm trying to keep this car for like 10, 15 years till it's a classic. I get you. But I like the color of my skin. You know what I'm saying? I like how my color look. I want motherfuckers to see my color. You know what I'm saying? And when I see a pretty ass, chocolate ass female, like, damn, I recognize her color. I see old pecan tan looking chick, ooh. Some honey bun cinnamon looking chick, ooh. I like them colors. I definitely see color. That pecan tan. Motherfuckers be having that pretty ass caramel colored skin. Ooh, shit, girl, come here. Let me tell you something. Let me whisper something to you, girl. You got some pretty ass skin. I like that shit. Your skin is a beautiful color. It's a nice shade of mahogany. And you know what? I appreciate that about you. That your skin is so beautiful and so rich with melanin. Yo, Elon Musk already working on the Matrix, nigga. It's all about the base looking ass. I just gotta find somebody to do that shit, so my shit, you know, I want my shit done right. Gotta take that shit to the pros. What the hell? About to have that Matrix. Elon Musk debut. Yo, he debuted his first active Neuralink the other day. If you guys are on my Facebook, But so he says, yeah. And then you can really, and see, once you have the Neuralink in the Cybertruck, I mean, the truck is going to have an AI that can drive itself, but then you can actually interface with the AI as well. So if the AI isn't functioning properly, you can actually take control over the vehicle via your mind using the Neuralink interface connection. And it's all cool, baby. Cyberpunk 2077, bitch. What the fuck? I mean, it's here now. And so, what up, Shaman? And so, yeah, like a couple of days ago, like, I posted this shit. Nanu. So, I posted that shit when it was live, yo. And so he had 3 pigs. He had 1 pig. He said, look at the pig. Pig looked like a normal, happy pig. Pig looked normal. Pig walking around doing piggy type shit. He's like, this pig right here has had a Neuralink implanted in its brain and then removed. It had a Neuralink for 3 months. A functioning Neuralink for 3 months. And then we removed it. Pig is fine. Nothing wrong with the pig at all. Perfectly normal, healthy, fine pig. Then he had another pig. He's like, this pig right here, this pig has an active Neuralink connected to his brain right now. Right fucking now. And the pig walking around, looking normal, doing piggy type shit. And then he had a third pig that had 2 active Neuralinks in its brain. And so we are here, bro. Like, we're at the fucking threshold of this shit. And he literally put out a mass job application. He's like, I don't give a fuck what school you go to, what kind of degrees you have, what can you do? Apply to Neuralink. We need programmers and engineers. I don't give a fuck if you don't know anything about the brain or how the brain works or how the body works. If you can program, if you can build, if you can engineer, he's like, apply for Neuralink. In the next 10 years, we're going to need 5,000, 10,000 employees or something, he said. He's like, we are on a mass hiring spree right now. We have this shit. Now we need to build our team up. And he's always been a big advocate of just a person being creative. He said a couple of times, like, I don't give a fuck if you what degree you have. Can you do this? A piece of paper doesn't tell me if you can do this shit or not. He was like, Bill Gates dropped out of college. A couple other really successful tech giants who really didn't finish school but are brilliant just because they understand what they're working with. And so he was just like, yo, apply. If you're out there, if you're listening to this shit, we need help. And if you got the skills, if you have the ability and you're creative enough and you can help us with this software and make this shit a reality, apply to Neuralink now. I was like, damn, I wish I was a fucking programmer. Yo, I'll apply for that shit. I'll go work on some fucking brain interface technology, some hybrid symbiosis, AI integration. Like, I would love to do that shit. Yo, Shaman, you on that shit, bro. Yo, hit Elon Musk up, yo. Tell this nigga you trying to make some cyborgs. They said the pigs really didn't feel anything, and they only demonstrated. The real demonstration was that the pig that had the 1 active Neuralink, they connected it to a part of the brain. So how they explain it is a pig's snout is packed full of nerve endings, and it's how they kind of feel their way through the world, kind of like we use our hands a lot. And a lot of insects and other animals, creatures use different parts of their body to, interact more directly with the world. And so a pig's snout is full of nerve endings. And so how they had this thing wired to the pig's brain, anytime the pig touched its snout to anything, it would send signals to the Neuralink, and it would give a readout on its screen and make like a buzzing sound. It was really weird. And so even if you could not see the pig, only read the readout, you can tell exactly how much this pig's snout is touching another surface or rubbing up against some shit, yo. And it's like, that's crazy. But what their first goal is to try to reconnect dead or damaged nerve endings for paralysis patients. So if you don't have use of your legs due to nerve damage, maybe we can override that part, the damaged part, and just bypass that damaged part of nerves and reconnect an active part of the brain to the muscle tissue and nerve endings in your leg, and literally give you the ability to think about moving your leg, and you can walk again. And this is some great fucking shit, bro. Alright guys, what I need to do is take a bathroom break, then we're going to come back and load up some paint on the palette, and we're going to get these brushes wet for a little while we listen to this Elon Musk Neuralink demonstration.
Alright, welcome to the Neuralink product demo. I'm excited to show you what we've got. I think it's going to blow your mind. So the primary purpose of this demo is actually recruiting. So I'm going to emphasize this at the beginning and then again at the end. We're not trying to raise money or do anything else. The main purpose of this is to convince great people to come work at Neuralink and help us bring the product to fruition. Made it affordable and reliable, and such that anyone who wants one can have one. And so I want to emphasize the purpose of Neuralink. Like, what's our goal? Our goal is to solve important spine and brain problems with a seamlessly implanted device. So you want to have a device that you can basically put in your head and feel and look totally normal, but it solves some important problem in your brain spine. And the reality is that almost everyone over time will develop brain and spine problems. These range from minor to very severe, but if you live long enough, everyone's going to basically have some kind of neurological disorder. And these range from memory loss to brain damage. But the thing that's important to appreciate is that an implantable device can actually solve these problems. And I think a lot of people don't quite realize that. But all of your senses, your sight, hearing, feeling, pain, these are all electrical signals sent by neurons to your brain. And if you can correct these signals, you can solve everything from memory loss, hearing loss, blindness, paralysis, depression, insomnia, extreme pain, seizures, anxiety, addiction, strokes, brain damage. These can all be solved. Neuralink. This is an extremely fundamental thing. I think a lot of people don't quite understand that. The neurons are like wiring, and you kind of need an electronic thing to solve an electronic problem. So current medical research, we'll just go through what is the state of the art in medical research, and then what's the state of the art in what consumers or people in general can get. So the current medical research has shown that you can read neurons in a human's brain. So there's something called the Utah array, which has about 100 channels per array. But it's like, kind of like it's a bed of rigid spikes that's literally inserted with an air hammer. So, you know, that's slightly discomforting, I think. And there's wires and a box on your head, and so it's some infection risk. And obviously it will look pretty weird if you walk around with boxes on your head. And in order to use it, you have to have an expert medical professional there, and it's only been done in a few dozen people. So, but it is served as an important proof of concept that this can be done.
Oh, that's the whole thing. Like,
so we want to point this out and show that this is,
like he says, he wants practical uses and applications for Neurolace. Reconnecting damaged nerve endings, helping people get full mobility who suffer from stroke, people who have seizures, and trying to rewire the brain to eliminate seizures. And so these are the first applications that he wants, but eventually it will be a designer type product like your phone. And if there's nothing wrong with you, if you're a perfectly normal, healthy person, you can still have this Neuralink implanted in you to have a connection to the internet, or a connection to a AI assistant which has a connection to the internet. And basically everything that you can do with your phone, you can do in your head without having to hold a device in your hand. And so, you know, like, I can say, hey Siri, what's the temperature for today? But instead of saying that, you can just think it, like, oh, I know what the temperature for today is going to be. So it's going to give people this extra layer of awareness and cognitive ability just by being directly connected to some sort of AI internet interface.
After this work, it's just not something that the average person could use effectively. And in terms of what is currently available, there is something called deep brain stimulation, where they put electrodes, a small number of electrodes, in your brain, and will actually zap your brain with an electric current. And it's valuable for its uses, but it can't read or write high bandwidth information. I would say this is sort of a bit like sort of clicking the TV, which does work, but not always, and it has limitations. Nonetheless, this has greatly helped over 150,000 people, and it's actually, just despite being somewhat of a brute force approach, it has been very effective for a lot of people, and this is what's currently available. So we want to radically improve this by multiple orders of magnitude, improve by a factor of 100, then 1,000, then 10,000. So going into the Neuralink architecture, what we've done over the past year is dramatically simplify the device. So we about a year ago, we had a device which had multiple parts, including a piece that it had to sort of sit behind your ear, and it was complex, and you wouldn't still look totally normal. You'd have a thing behind your ear. So we've simplified this to something that is about the size of a large coin, and it goes in your skull, replaces a piece of skull, and the wires then act within a few centimeters or about an inch away from the device. And this is sort of what it looks like. This is our little device. It does, that thing at the bottom is just to hold the threads in place, because they're just like little fine wires.
Hey, this is Kurt Bali, and I'm here with Debbie. And Debbie just got done with our 3-day workshop. We talk about the belt method. We talk about how to...
I mean, frankly, to sort of simplify this, what we're, I mean, it's more complicated than this, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. It's, yeah, so our current prototype version 0.9 has about 1,000 channels, so that's about 100 times better than the next best consumer device that's available. And it's a 23 millimeters by 8 millimeters. It actually fits quite nicely in your skull because your skull is about 10 millimeters thick. So it fits, it goes flush with your skull, it's invisible, and all you can see afterwards is that there's a tiny scar. And if it's under your hair, you can't see it at all. In fact, I could have it Neuralink right now, and you wouldn't know. Maybe I do.
Maybe I do. So, that part right here.
It's also got all the things that you would expect to see, the sensors you'd expect. I mean, more complicated than this, but it's, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. So, and it's, yeah, so our current prototype version 0.9 has about 1,000 channels. So that's about 100 times better than the next consumer device that's available. And it's a 23 millimeters by 8 millimeters. It actually fits quite nicely in your skull because your skull is about 10 millimeters thick. So it fits, it goes flush with your skull, it's invisible, and all you see afterwards is that there's a tiny scar. And if it's under your hair, you can't see it at all. In fact, I could have it Neuralink right now, and you wouldn't know. Maybe I do.
Maybe I do.
So, and it's also got all the things that you would expect to see, the sensors you'd expect to see in a smartwatch or a phone, like notional measurement, temperature, pressure. So there's actually a lot of functions that this device can do related to monitoring your health and warning you about a possible heart attack or stroke or other damage, as well as sort of convenience features like playing music. You do a lot. It's sort of like if your phone went at your brain or something. Yeah, maybe that's not a great analogy. Anyway, so it's also inductively charged, so it's charged in the same way that you charge a smartwatch or a phone. And so you can use it all day, charge it at night, and have full functionality. So you really, yeah, it would be completely seamless, and yeah, no worries. In terms of getting a link, so that, you need to have the device, a great device, and you also need to have a great robot that puts in the electrodes and does the surgery. So you want the surgery to be as automated and as possible, and the only way you can achieve the level of precision that's needed is with an advanced robot. So we're really looking for great people who can help develop both the device and the robot. And we feel confident about getting the link procedure, the installation of a link, done in under an hour. So you can basically go in the morning and leave the hospital in the afternoon. And it can be done without general anesthesia. So in terms of getting a link, like I said, it's essentially you open a piece of skull, you remove about a coin-sized piece of skull, and then the robot inserts the electrodes. We'll talk more about that later. Then the device replaces the portion of skull that's removed, and we basically close that up with actually super glue, which is how a lot of wounds are closed, and then you can just walk around right afterwards. It's pretty cool. So this is a surgical robot. And we actually ultimately want this robot to do essentially the entire surgery. So everything from incision, removing the skull, inserting the electrodes, placing the device, and closing things up and having you ready to leave. So we want to have a fully automated system. And this robot does actually work. We've used it for all of the implantations. So this shows you a sort of close-up view, which I think is actually not too gruesome, of the electrodes being inserted in the brain. And if you look closely, you'll see that it's a little counterintuitive that if the electrodes are inserted very carefully, that there's no bleeding. And so if you have very tiny electrodes, they're inserted very carefully, the robot actually images the brain and makes sure to avoid any veins or arteries so that the electrodes can be inserted with no noticeable damage. So you will have no noticeable neural damage in inserting the thing. Yeah, like you sort of think like if you stab up something with a wire, surely it will bleed, but actually at a really small scale, it does not. So, does it actually work? And what I'm excited to show you, I call it like the Three Little Pigs demo. And
the Three Little Pigs demo, here it goes, guys.
And I'll have this, we bring out the pigs, and what we're going to show you is well, I'll walk right over and show you.
How about no?
No.
No way.
So what we have in pen number 1 is Trace, and she does not have an implant. Obviously healthy and happy. We're trying to get Gertrude out, and this is how you know it's a live demo. She's like, yes, trying to eat something in the corner of her fan. Come on, Gertrude. Go. Snatch her this way. Oh man. All right, we'll wait. We'll get Gertrude a second, and we'll move on to Dorothy. Sometimes the pigs are a little shy. But here's Dorothy. And in the case of Dorothy, Dorothy used to have an implant, and then we removed the implant. So this is a very important thing to demonstrate is reversibility. So if you have a Neuralink, and then you decide you don't want it, or you want to get an upgrade, and the Neuralink is removed, is it removed in such a way that you are still healthy and happy afterwards? And what Dorothy illustrates is that you can put in the Neuralink, remove it, and be healthy, happy, and indistinguishable from an old pig. Oh, thanks, Dorothy. Man, Gertrude, are you serious? Okay. Well, should we bring them all out or something? Would that be better? How about everyone just comes to this pen? Let's have a little crowd of it. Okay. All right. Well, is Gertrude still back in the thing? Okay, we need to bring Gertrude on. Yeah. Oh, the beauty of live demos. This is real live demo. All right. When we zoom in to the Gertrude or something.
Yeah, they have this goes on for like a few minutes where they could not get this fucking pig to come out.
Here we go. Great. Okay. Great. Okay. This is a high energy pig. All right. Gertrude, thanks for coming out. So what the beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from the Neuralink in Gertrude's head. So this Neuralink connects to neurons that are in her snout. So whenever she snuffles around and touches something with her snout, that sends out neural spikes, which are detected here. And so on the screen, you can see each of the spikes from the 1,024 electrodes. And then if she shuffles around, touches her snout in the ground, or you kind of feed her some food, pigs love food, then you can see the neurons will fire much more than when you're not touching the snout, and that's making the beeping sound. All right, cool. So as you can see, we have a healthy and happy pig. Initially shy, but obviously high energy and you know, kind of loving life. And she's had the implant for 2 months. So this is a healthy and happy pig with an implant that is 2 months old and working well. Yeah.
The fucking Matrix. Do you not hear this, man? He's telling you he's making the Matrix, guys.
We actually have...
Bro, we're at the front door of the Matrix,
so we said,
yo.
well, what if we do 2 Neuralink implants? And we've been able to do dual Neuralink implants in, actually I think 3 pigs at this point, and we have a couple of them here. And we've been able to show that you can actually have multiple Neuralinks implanted, and again, healthy and happy and indistinguishable from a normal pig. So, so it's possible to have multiple links in your head and have them all be sending out signals, and you're working well. All right. Here. All right, so we just showed you a demonstration of reading brain activity, and see, probably see that. As I was saying, each of those dots represents a neural spike, and the blue chart at the bottom is showing an accumulation of neural spikes in that region. So, in terms of additional brain reading activity, when we have, say, one of our pigs on a treadmill, pig on a treadmill, funny concept, really. And we take the readings from the neurons, and we try to predict the position of the joints. And so we say we have the predicted position of the joints, and then we measure the actual position of the joints. You can see that they're almost exactly aligned. So we're able, with a wireless neural implant, to actually predict the position of all of the limbs in the pig's body with very high accuracy. Now, in terms of writing to the brain or stimulating neurons, we obviously need precise control of the electric field in space and time. We need a wide range of current for different brain regions. Some regions require delicate stimulation, some require a lot of current, and you want obviously no harm to the brain over time. And the way we, part of the way we analyze the stimulating neurons is with a 2-photon microscopy. I always have trouble pronouncing that, microscopy. It's very impressive technology. You can actually literally see in real time how the neurons are firing. So the red sort of things are the neurons. Red sort of flashing things are the neurons firing. Or I should say the electrodes firing. So the red things are electrodes firing, and then the green are the neuron bodies responding to the current from the electrode. So you can see them lighting up different brain regions, and then by carefully controlling the electric field, you can actually have one electrode influence possibly 1,000 or 10,000 neurons. So although you might only have 1,000 electrodes implanted, you could be influencing millions of neurons. It's just a similar chart showing stimulation at different power levels. So, like I said, for the initial device, it's read-write in every channel with about 1,024 channels, all-day battery life, recharges overnight, has quite a long range. So you can have the range being to your phone, I should say. That's kind of an important thing. This would connect to your phone, and actually the application would be on your phone. And it would be communicating by essentially Bluetooth Low Energy to the device in your head. That's why I say in a lot of ways it is like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. So, and then like I said, you would not be able to see the device at all. You would look completely normal and just have a small scar under your hair.
I was looking for Mr. Frank Kern, thank you very much for your time, sir. I appreciate your time. I can help out too. I love to geek out like we did right before the call as well too. Just kind of fine tuning some stuff, looking at some stuff, showing you.
And we're making good progress towards clinical studies. I'm excited to announce that we received a breakthrough device designation from the FDA in July, thanks to the hard work of the Neuralink team. So I want to be clear, we're working closely with the FDA, and we'll be extremely rigorous. In fact, we will significantly exceed the minimum FDA guidelines for safety. We will make this as safe as possible. Just as with Tesla, while it is legally possible to ship a 1-star car, at Tesla, the only cars we make are 5 stars in every category. So we actually maximize safety, and we'll take the same approach here at Neuralink. And emphasize again, what the goal of this presentation is recruiting. We want people who are great at solving problems to join the company and help us complete this device, take care of the animals, write the software, create the chips, and productionize everything. So we'd like robotics engineers. I think we also especially need people who have worked on and shipped products. So if you've shipped a smartwatch or a phone, or any kind of complex electronics or complex device, or advanced medical devices, we'd love for you to contact us and consider working here. So, and a very important point to emphasize is that you do not need to have prior experience on brains. So a lot of people think, well, I couldn't possibly work Neuralink because I don't know anything about how brains work. That's okay, you can learn, but we need software engineering, we need mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, like I said, chip design, robotics, and all the things that a company needs to work. So please send in your resume. Actually, it's not just engineering, obviously everything at Neuralink. So now let's actually move to questions. So we've piled questions that have been asked over the internet, and so we'll do live Q&A. So bring in a bunch of people from the Neuralink team. All right.
The fucking Matrix.
When it came to the event, I didn't really have to think twice about buying it, actually. I just knew as soon as he was having an event,
Yo, Elon Musk just put out a open goddamn, what that shit called? A job fair. Electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, software writing, whatever, man. Hey, apply for Neuralink. We need everybody, yo. Apply for the fucking job, yo. Any kind of engineer, whatever you fucking do, yo. You don't need to know about the brain. You can learn. We can teach you what you need to know. We just need to know what you know. And if what you know can help us, you got a job. The real purpose for this demonstration is a recruiting event. We need people. You see what we're doing, right? You see, we got the shit already in the pig's brain, Joe. It's in their brain. We did it. Now we need to make it better, smaller, more efficient, more powerful, and uses less energy, more output. We need people to help us with this. You think you got what it takes? Come share your ideas with us, man. We're going to pay you well. We're going to pay you nicely to help us build the future. Dream big. Neuralink. Yeah, no, maybe so. Y'all ain't with it? I'm with that shit, man. I'm with that shit. Y'all want that shit. That shit sound dope, son. Damn, I wish I would have went to school for engineering, yo. I could have been an electrical engineer at Neuralink. What? Software program analysis, whatever the fuck that is. I could have been doing that kind of shit. But nah, this nigga want to paint and draw and stuff. You feel me? I feel you. can't be geniuses.
All right, so if you have any questions, please submit your questions to the Neuralink Twitter account, and we will try to answer as many questions as we can over the next hour. And feel free to ask hard questions, that's no problem, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right, let's move over to the team.
Perfect. Yes, we will continue monitoring questions until the end of the event, so please keep sending them in over Twitter. Elin, do you want to come join us? All right, so the first question is, how is spike detection implemented? Is it on the ASIC? Is it hardware and software updatable?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I can answer that. So I'm Paul. I work, I've had a few different hats. I've worked a little bit on digital chip design, and more recently working on some of the algorithms trying to decode the signals from the brain. And the spike detection algorithm, there's historically been many ways of detecting spikes. Typically, people will record data offline and then look for characteristic shapes. But here, we're interested in detecting spikes online. And there's a number of simple algorithms that you can do, for example, like detecting just a threshold. And where we've been interested in doing a little bit better than that. So we actually look for particular shapes, character shapes that we think are spikes. And so we're doing this on the chip. It's for all 1,024 electrodes. There's bandpass filtering happening on the chip. So if you think of these as like little microphones sending audio information, we're basically filtering all of that in real time and then looking for these characteristic shapes. You can configure what sort of shapes you're looking for, and that information is what's being sent out. The raw information coming from electrodes is way too much to send out over Bluetooth. So when you're seeing those beautiful spike rasters on the screen, those are the detections that we have coming straight from the chips.
Got it. And just for everyone who doesn't know, can you just explain at a basic level what a spike is?
Sure. So traditionally, people think of spikes or action potentials as the electrical events that happen in neurons, and as the primary form of communication between neurons. And so this is a hysteresis event where you have currents that flow and generate this. You can think of it as being a digital signal, a 1 or a 0 that's being sent in time, where neurons will send that signal to often thousands of recipient neurons.
Awesome, thanks, Paul. So I got a question from Toby on Twitter. He asks, what can be further done to simplify the device installation progress?
So we're working on making the dice as small as possible, of course, with the robot taking more and more of the responsibility away from error-prone human surgeons. We're hoping to make the process faster and safer.
Actually, it might be good for people to say, who they are, what they do.
Oh, I'm Matthew McDougall. I'm the head neurosurgeon at Neuralink.
Thanks, Matt.
Head neurosurgeon.
Is there anything specifically from the robot that can be done to make this faster and safer and scalable to billions of people?
Yeah, I guess we started with just implementing, robot manipulating the threads. But we definitely need to expand to essentially doing the entire surgery with the robot. So there's nothing like really, as far as I can tell, fundamentally like stopping us from doing that. Sort of like at a fundamental science level. It hasn't been done in the past, I think, probably just because like volumes of surgeries hasn't been needed. But specifically for us to scale up to many hundreds of thousands or millions of patients, we will need to automate like the entire surgery essentially.
Awesome, thank you, Ian. Garrett asks, what are some of the lower bandwidth activities to target first? Is it muscle movement? Is it auditory signals? What level of bandwidth is required for effective use?
Hi, it's Sam Barker here from the Motley Fool. Behind me is Landmark Mall. Or what?
So there's a couple of...
just to say who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name is Joey O'Doherty. I'm a neuroscientist and neuroengineer working on decoding from the brain. So there's some low-hanging fruit that I think could really be impactful to help many people's lives, and that's restoring movement and communication in, for example, a spinal cord injured patient. And there's a lot of antecedents in the academic world where there have been very nice demonstrations of doing this. And we think we can take our technology and really bring that to the home, something people can take home with them and improve their lives.
Fantastic. Gil, there's a fun one next. All you.
Yeah, so we're fielding questions from Twitter, so there's going to be some funny comments. First question is, who are you and what do you do? I'll lead with that. And the question is, can the Neuralink chip allow you to summon your Tesla telepathically?
Definitely, of course.
You heard it here first. That's a definite 100%. Carlos, that is the answer.
Just one bit of information.
Yeah, it's very easy. That's the easy one.
Actually, Max, this might be a question for you. Is like some of the questions we had on Twitter was how do you see the Neuralink device and the essentially API growing over time and allowing developers to interact with the device?
So there's interesting questions long term about whether you do decoding on head or on a phone or on a computer. Ultimately, so at 1,000 channels it's possible to send all the spike data to a phone and do processing there. As this gets bigger and bigger, you're going to be more constrained by the radio, so you're going to want to push more of this on head, and that changes your programming model. But really, the APIs you're getting either bin spikes or you're getting raw waveforms, and that's like you can consume it basically like an audio feed.
Yeah, it's worth noting, like the lossless compression of the data stream is about 100 kilobits with 1,024 channels.
Excellent. So this one came up a lot, and this particular question is from Yosef, but will this technology ever be used for gaming?
Yeah, probably.
100%.
100%, yeah.
I think that a good benchmark of does it work well in humans is, can a quadriplegic, does it work well for them to play StarCraft? And it's a good functional target.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll pull out back from the Twitter questions that are kind of funny. This is a question for the efficacy of the device. Right now, is the device limited to surface layers of the brain only, or can we go deeper? And if not now, what's holding us back from going deeper into the brain?
We are planning on modifying the device and the robot to be able to sew into arbitrary depths of the brain. Right now, we're limiting ourselves only to the cortical surface because that simplifies many of the problems involved with going a lot deeper.
And what kinds of things can you solve on the cortical surface first when you go deeper?
Sure. So a lot of the low-level processing happens in the cortex in terms of motor intention, sensory information that comes directly in. So your hearing, your auditory percepts, your visual processing, a lot of that happens in the cortex.
I mean, you could solve blindness, you could solve paralysis, you can solve hearing, you can solve a lot just by interfacing with the cortex. And to be clear, we actually do insert, I guess, about 3 or 4 millimeters into the cortex. So these electrodes are sensing from multiple layers within the cortex. There are deeper brain systems that are underneath your cortex, like the hypothalamus, and I think that is something we'd want to interface with for sure, because that's going to be important for curing things like depression, addiction, that kind of thing, anxiety. But yeah, like I said in the presentation, overall we're aiming for a general purpose device, and really the thing that would change from interfacing with the cortex versus deep brain systems is kind of the length of the electrode. So we just need kind of longer wires and to adjust the robot in order to access deeper regions of the brain.
Awesome. Ian, did you have anything to add?
The robot is designed, like the full length is like 7 centimeters, right? Centimeters.
Yeah, so right now we're designed for like 6 millimeters. The actuator itself isn't actually limited to 6 millimeters. You can go much deeper. That's sort of, in addition to scaling out sort of to the rest of the surgery, also scaling to deeper, which is most a sensing problem. So the ability to avoid deep vasculature is sort of an interesting problem that we're working on in the robotics world here. So yeah, lots of cool problems in the robot.
You're leading robot engineering.
Yeah, sorry, I'm Ian. I lead the robotics program here.
Best friend. All right, next question is, what is the most challenging problem that must be solved in order to meet Neuralink's ultimate goal?
Well, I think one of the hardest problems is kind of, I'd say, material science and especially the installation of the electrodes. What would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Felix Deku. I currently lead the microfabrication team. My team makes up of a group of process engineers and material scientists. And our job is to make the tiny wires, as Elon referred to them, what we call the threads that are implanted in the brain. And of course, the threads are made of conductors and insulators. And choosing the right material that is amenable to the brain and compatible to the brain is something that our team have expertise on, and we work seriously on interface engineering just to make sure that our layers are actually well thought through, well designed, and at the end of the day, when we implant this device, they'll be actually functional for reading or for writing in the brain.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be important in terms of material science problems is making sure that the threads, the electrodes can last for decades in the brain, which is a tricky thing because it's a very corrosive environment, and you're in a dichotomy where you want to read and you want to sense electrical signals and you want to generate electrical signals, but you don't want to corrode the electrodes over time. So you need to have an insulating layer that is very robust, but also very, very thin. It has to be just the right amount of insulation, and it has to stay that amount of insulation over time. So that's why I think we think probably like a silicon carbide type insulator is probably the best long term from a material science standpoint. But silicon carbide is a tough material to work with, but that's probably the right choice long term. Would you say?
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's also, apart from its electrical properties, it also helps with adhesion between the metal layers and the polymer substrate. Another thing that we're also looking at is, since we're actually reducing the electric dimensions, the electric side, the actual side that speaks to the neuron, also have what we call high resistance of the signals. So we actually look into like material engineering that will reduce the impedance at an interface, so that we can actually have a very small electric side but still be able to speak clearly to the neuron.
And when you guys say thin, how thin?
How thin? So one strand of your hair is about 100 microns in diameter. We can think about dividing that into 20. So one of the thickness that we're working on is about 5 microns, and we have this possibility to go even thinner in the nearest future.
Yeah, we think we can probably go sub-micron in thickness, but obviously as the thinner you make the wire, the harder it is to sense the signal and to do simulation, because there's less cross-sectional area for the current to traverse. In terms of upgrades, that's part of why I wanted to show the explanted plague, is to show that you can actually take the device out, and there's no observable behavior change. The pig is as happy as before. And healthy, and I think this is going to be important for upgrades, because if you get an early device, then by the time, let's say you get version 1, probably by the time we have version 3 or 4, you want to upgrade. You wouldn't want version 1 of a phone and 10 years later everyone's got version 3 or 4. So it's going to be important to be able to remove the device and upgrade it over time. So over time, the Neuralink would do even more than it did before.
Awesome. So here's a question about the device. We have been talking a lot about read speeds and we haven't talked about read or write speeds. DJ, what are the read and write speeds of the device? If you think of it like a computer.
Sorry, when you say speed, what do you mean?
Like, how quickly can you read information from the brain, and how quickly can you write information in the brain?
Okay, so let's see. So one of the things to highlight is that we.
DJ, what do you work on?
Yes, my name is DJ Ta. I'm leading implant electronics development.
A chip design.
And a chip designer looking
here.
Yeah. So the prototype that we were showing
It has 1,024 channels. All of those channels are capable of recording and also stimulating. And in terms of recording, as Paul mentioned, we do have on-chip algorithms to do level of compression and extracting the signals of interest, in this case, spikes, neural spikes.
Sure.
And those things are actually happening at a much faster speed than your brain even is processing those information.
Well, do you want to say like things like time resolution, like you know, within how many milliseconds can you detect a spike, and what's the, you know, just some technical data?
So in terms of the signals that we're collecting, you know, we're digitizing them at 20 kilohertz. Generally, the signals of interest are anywhere between about a millisecond in width, and so we sort of sample it at 20 times that speed. And we have analog to digital converters that divide that into 1024 levels, so 10-bit resolution. And the spike detection is done in less than 900 nanoseconds, which is really, really fast time. And it's only sort of determined by the speed of the clock. And for making sure that our implant is low power, we're running them actually at a very slow speed. And then for stimulation, you know, we can actually create any arbitrary waveforms with about 7 microsecond of resolution. So basically, whatever you want to draw, we can stimulate and generate those pulses through any combination of our electrodes.
And this is just version 0.9, or, you know, aspirationally version 1. As we go to version 2, 3, 4, these things will expand, I think, ultimately by orders of magnitude, many orders of magnitude.
Great. Everyday Tesla asks, how big is the Neuralink team, and how much do you expect it to grow in the near future?
There are about 100 people right now. I think over time, there might be 10,000 or more people at Neuralink. So I think, yeah.
Couple orders of magnitude?
Yeah, exactly. A couple orders of magnitude. Those are one of my favorite phrases. Yeah, just, you know, a couple orders of magnitude is no big deal. Yeah, probably the number of electrodes will grow with the number of people at the company.
That's a super linear relationship.
Yeah. Well, we might need a million people at the company then. Yeah, super, yeah, even more. Yeah. Ideally, like, yeah, super linear.
Our hiring quotas are determined by our channel counts.
Yeah. Maybe it's 10-to-1 ratio or something. Yeah.
Cool. So Twitter asks, how does the input system fare against various disturbances from the outside, like electrical, magnetic, Wi-Fi, radio?
Yeah, so the current version of the implant that we have is using Bluetooth Low Energy Radio. So similar to any Bluetooth devices that are out there, you know, they are able to coexist with other devices that are using and sharing our spectrum in 2.4 gigahertz. Obviously, as you imagine, you know, when you go to concerts or there's just a lot of people, the signal quality does degrade because it is a pretty gusted spectrum. So we are actually working on some new versions of the radio that are operating at different frequencies to be able to also send out a lot more data and have it be scalable to, you know, millions of electrodes. And then also in terms of sort of electromagnetic compatibility and interferences, obviously it's very important for us to coexist with other systems and just disturbances out there. So there are also well-documented guidelines from FDA that we'll be following and doing a lot of testing for.
Fantastic. We're going to take an audience question. Fred, take it away.
So we all want to play StarCraft using Neuralink, but what are some likely first applications?
Well, I don't know if we all want to play StarCraft.
There are other games.
There are other games to play. Exactly.
But also StarCraft.
So our first clinical trial is aimed at people with paraplegia or tetraplegia, so cervical spinal cord injury. We're going to enroll, we're planning to enroll a small number of patients to make sure the device is safe and that it works in that case.
Yeah, so actually just to elaborate on that, if somebody is like a severe spinal cord injury, you know, to the degree that they have very limited control even over their facial muscles, then with this implant you can actually think, just by thinking you can output words, and you can type, and you can control a computer, control a phone, and which is pretty wild. And I think something that's very exciting as a long-term application is if you can sense what somebody's trying to do with their limbs, what they want to do with their limbs, then you can actually do a second implant that's at the base of the spine or wherever, just after wherever the spinal injury occurred, and you can create a neural shunt. So I think long-term, I'm confident that long-term it will be possible to restore somebody's full body motion. So if somebody even has a severed spine, they will be able to walk again. They will be able to use their hands. And like when you have a severed spinal cord, you essentially have broken wires. And so if you could just jump over those wires and transmit the signals over those wires, you can give somebody the ability to walk again, naturally.
So DJ, you talked about outside interference. Can anyone talk about the inside interference? So how to protect the implant from the body?
Sure, I can talk about that. My name is Robin. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I lead the implant mechanical packaging and assembly team. So actually making the devices and designing the seal. So yeah, the body's not a friendly place to be. So what we do is basically create an accelerated test chamber that can mimic the conditions that the devices will see in the body, and basically test the devices at as fast as accelerated rate as we can. At this time, we're limited temperature-wise by some of the electronics components, but basically we can test subsystems to mimic the environment in the body, and by that we've brought devices in the test right now to almost a year, and all the implanted ones prior to these implants, we had tested the same architecture in the tester to validate it. And yeah, so there's obviously chemical things attacking the implant. There's pressure. There's mechanical shock and vibration. So all of these things are part of it. And yeah, I think one of the things that really helps is having everything insourced in-house. So we have the capability to deposit in layers of metal. We have the capability to weld glass and machine micron scale with lasers, and yeah, so basically we have all the tools in-house to be able to design any sort of sealing, enclosure, packaging that we need to do.
Awesome, thank you, Robin. Another question from Twitter: will you be able to save and replay memories in the future?
Yes, I think in the future you will be able to save and replay memories. I mean, this is obviously sounding increasingly like a Black Mirror episode, but well, I guess it's pretty good at predicting. But yeah, essentially, if you have a whole brain interface, everything that's encoded in memory, you could upload. You could basically store your memories as a backup and restore the memories. And ultimately, you could potentially download them into a new body or into a robot body. The future's going to be weird.
Cool. So I can't help but notice that the pigs back there are pretty well behaved and pretty darn cute. Can anyone talk about, maybe I'm looking at Autumn over here. First, can you tell everyone who you are and what you do here? And can you describe, like, how are they so well behaved and so smart?
Well, I'm Autumn, and I lead our animal care program. And our philosophy here is to set up a system where the animals are able to volunteer, to make choices, to participate in our projects. As you see, sometimes they choose not to participate, and that's okay. We want to make sure that our animals are happy and healthy. So all of the behavioral research that we do is led by positive reinforcement. And again, that allows for them to choose to volunteer or not.
Sam's also on our animal care team. Sam, do you have anything to add to that?
Hi, I'm Sam, one of the veterinarians here. I work closely with Autumn, taking care of the animals. And yeah, it's just emphasizing what Robin said, the whole animal care program here, in fact, the whole company here is very dedicated to promoting the care of these animals. Everybody's involved, everybody's very interested in making sure that they're taken care of. And yeah, the program from top to bottom is designed to make sure that they can express their species-specific behaviors, express, choose to do things. We don't force things upon them as much as possible. And yeah, that's why you see the pigs happily rooting around the straw right now and generally being very content.
They do have those natural little smiles on their faces, which is delightful. Next question is, what programming language are you guys using for developing the device?
Several. Yeah, we use several different types of programming languages. So for chip development, a lot of Verilog for doing low-level programming at the kind of the register trans level. As you go up higher and higher, there are various C, C++, Python. But to be honest, like at the end of the day, it's not which programming language do you know how to use. It's do you know the principles behind coming up with just methods to enable these systems to work. So I think if you have experience in programming and you've been building things since you're little, you should really come join us.
Yeah, but can I play Crisis?
Eventually.
It can play Crisis.
Cool. Crisis confirmed. And then Ian, what about Ian, what about the robot? What kind of programming languages and tech stacks are you using over there?
I mean, sort of just reiterating what DJ said, sort of doesn't matter. Like specifically for us, it's just real-time low-level platform, C++, some Java and Python scripts. But really, those are more just like pragmatic choices to essentially optimize for getting like productive work done. So it doesn't really matter what your background is or necessarily what the tools you use are. It's more just can you like accomplish things really quickly.
Awesome. This next question is from This Is Rex. They're wondering, can this device be used to explain consciousness? The long term, of course.
I can certainly shed some light on consciousness.
This is really a good question. I think the answer is yes. And I think one of the reasons that consciousness is so hard is because like anything physics, you're looking at a mapping from X to Y, where X is the neuronal correlates, it's the things happening physically, and then Y is this phenomenal state. And historically, we've been unable to observe the neuronal correlates very well, and unless in you, we've been unable to observe the phenomenal state. So as soon as you were able to, neuroscientists are able to personally get these tools where they can see the correlates and they can have the experience, I think the hard one will vanish very quickly.
What I find remarkable is that the universe started out as like quarks and leptons, we'll call it like hydrogen, and then after a long time, well, what seems like a long time to us, the hydrogen became sentient. It gradually got more complex, and then we're basically hydrogen evolved, and somewhere along the way that hydrogen started talking and thought it was conscious.
I like the joke that it turns out that if you bombard Earth with photons for long enough, it'll emit a Tesla.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Just basic science, guys.
Yeah,
it's just
teach you in school. Yeah, so there's a lot of Twitter comments coming in about a question that I think is on everyone's mind, no pun intended. What is the security of the device look like? What kind of precautions are being taken, and what does the future look like for the security of the system?
So first and foremost, privacy and security are top priorities at Neuralink, especially given the sensitivity of the data that we're collecting. And one of the things that we're ensuring is to make sure that a lot of the interactions with the brain data is going to be encrypted and authenticated properly. And I think this has been kind of a sort of recurring theme, but one of the things that we have the ability to do at Neuralink is that we work on every layer of the product, from chip design to source code, and it really gives us a unique opportunity to embed security as part of our design from the get-go, and to make sure that there are no single points of failure. So as an example, we can actually completely isolate sensitive modules like the BLE radio by just segregating it out at the hardware level, and really making sure that we protect the I/O to the brain away from any potential attacks and really minimizing the attack surface. And we have in-house security expertise, and we're also working with external parties to do audits and perform penetration testing.
Excellent, thank you, DJ.
Well, actually, is there a point that anybody here wants to make that has not been asked in a question, but you think should be a question? Anyone? Yeah.
So hey, I'm Zach. I work on the microfabrication team. I help making the implants. And one thing that I think is really cool, just in general, is that this is a platform essentially, so we can change the design up in a variety of ways. So if we find that a certain design or electrode solder number of electrodes works better in different areas of the brain, we have the capability to do that. I personally think that's very cool.
Fantastic. Anyone else? Dan, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's allowed us to make such fast progress in the last few months is the use of pigs as a model. And we started out choosing pigs because of the very similar anatomy of their skull, humans, same thickness and similar kind of membrane, dural membrane. But then as time went on, we realized that pigs are actually
what's up, guys?
amazing other properties. You can train them to walk on a treadmill. You can train them to all kinds of tricks, and also that they have this large representation of the snout in the cortex, which you can very easily stimulate. So the question would be, why are we using pigs? And I think we've even surprised ourselves at how useful they are as a model in this respect. And another important point is that it's very easy to keep pigs happy. That they have very low needs, and so we can build an environment in which they have amazingly good welfare.
Yeah,
Seems very happy about food.
Yeah, it's easy to make pigs happy. Basically, they love food. Pigs really love food. This is a true thing about pigs. Give them like sort of some straw and some things to play with and some friends to hang out with and good food, and they're happy as pigs. Pigs are actually quite similar to people. So that's if we're going to figure out things for people, then pigs are a good choice. And they're quite robust creatures, like little tanks. And then I think one of the questions was like, is the device itself robust? And it's like, well, pigs, they bustle around quite a lot, and they bump into things, and they headbutt each other at times, and they're pretty animated. So if the device is lasting in the pig, as it lasted there for 2 months, and still going strong, then that's a good sign that the device is robust for people.
Fantastic. One common theme that's been coming up a lot on these Twitter questions coming in is that of availability. And so Matthias has a specific question on this, which is any estimate of how much it will cost at launch and what price it will reduce to over time?
Well, I think at launch it's probably going to be, I would say that's not really representative, because at first I think it's going to be quite expensive, but that price will very rapidly drop. And I think over time we want to get the cost obviously down as low as possible. But I think inclusive of the automated surgery, we want to get the price down to a few $1,000s, something like that. And I think that's possible. I think it should be possible to get it similar to LASIK, and then the device electronics itself, I think will not be very expensive, because it actually does use a lot of the parts that are made in extremely high volume, in tens of millions of units for smartphones and smartwatches and wearables in general.
Great. So here's another question about the device. What does the architecture look like? Is it a CPU, ARM CPU? What's going on inside the device that you could talk about, DJ?
I can talk a little bit about the digital architecture. It's fully custom. One of the most difficult challenges, I think, of building an implant is the energy density. So the more electrodes record from, the more energy you're going to be consuming. And so there was nothing commercial out there. So there's an analog front end that's able to amplify these really small signals, like microvolt range, so that we can actually digitize them. And then take those signals and then find exactly what we're looking for, and there was nothing out there that could basically do those two things, and so that's why we had to build a full custom ASIC. And so there's really there's nothing out like it out there. It's designed specifically to record signals from the brain, and anything else would just be wasting energy.
Yeah, so the thing that I would add to that is, so there are obviously elements that we customize from ground up, like our neural amplifiers and some of the algorithms that we develop, but a lot of the other systems around it are really borrowing from parts that are already been productionized and available from the wearables industry, so BLE radio, a lot of the low power microprocessors that are part of it, a lot of small sensors. So there are obviously the neural sensors that we're developing that gives us kind of a unique data set for our applications, but really a lot of that is getting packaged up and just not really resisting the industry that's been sort of been laid out to really create these devices with very short amount of time.
So here's another question about the integrity of the device, more from a mechanical perspective. So you're replacing a piece of bone and replacing it with an implant, and then the person is going to take that home. How does the integrity of the device fare to I don't know, bone or something similar?
I think Matt's probably replaced a lot of pieces of skull with plastic and other materials, so I don't know if you can talk about some of those. But yeah, basically, I mean, we know what the mechanical properties of bone are, and we know what the stresses on the device are going to be. So it's fairly easy to just go from first principles and design for any condition that it might see.
I mean, as you can see from the pigs, as I was saying earlier, the implants are obviously very robust because pigs move around vigorously, they roll around, they bend to wall, they bang into each other. They do like headbutting, and way more than people do. Well, sure. But like it's not like the pigs are just walking around very delicately. They're high energy creatures, and so has been going for a few months, still going strong, despite a lot of vigorous activity from the pig. And it's difficult. You can't just explain to the pig, hey, you've got an implant in your head. Why don't you take care of it? So it's got to be robust against a lot of head impacts, essentially. So I think maybe one of the things that isn't super obvious is that the implant itself is attached to the skull, but the electrodes have long threads, so you can have quite a lot of movement, relative movement between the brain and the skull, without putting attention on the electrodes that are inserted in the cortex. So, well, let's see. With that, maybe a couple more questions, or if anybody wants to make some comments.
Yeah, if you guys want to finish that, that's Elon Musk in a Neuralink presentation. It was just a couple of days ago. It's Sunday. Don't have a lot to do. It's almost lunchtime. I'm just going to take a break for a couple hours, guys. And I'll be back in here later on because we got fresh paint on the palette and we're working on the skin tones right now. So I definitely want to put a couple more hours in on this piece before the day is over with. So if you guys aren't busy later on, make sure you hit the notification bell so y'all know when I'm back in here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do. Thanks for everybody coming in and sitting with me in the studio for a couple hours. I know I haven't been streaming as much lately, guys. I've honestly been busy with a lot of other things. Got a couple different projects going on. The art contest, doing car shopping for the past couple of weekends, just trying to find a nice vehicle. And honestly, I've been working on this commission off camera just so I can focus a little bit more. So as soon as I come in the studio, I just hop right on the canvas. But yeah, so sorry for not being as active on YouTube, but we still getting shit done, you know what I'm saying? Y'all can see the progress. I don't be slacking off. I don't just be disappearing for no reason, not doing nothing, you know what I'm saying? But once again, appreciate y'all chilling in the studio with me, watching the progress on the portraits. If y'all ain't doing nothing later on, come back through, slide in the studio, and we gonna be smoking, drinking, and chilling, painting portraits too.